talking about the history. I'm over here. Turn round, I'm over here. That's me, in that little boat. Because the hero I'm talking about today arrived here, Pevensey Bay, near Hastings, with about 700 other little boats. And he changed the course of history. In just a few months, he transformed England. Who am I talking about? He landed right here, just like this. So who am I, hey? How do you do that? Who am I? Of course I'm all right. I didn't fall over, I was acting. Who am I? Who am I being? William the Conqueror. Yes. That's right. I am being William. How did you know that? You've got a costume. Give it to me. Right. You see, Pevensey Bay, this is where William landed in 1066. And that's what happened. He jumped off his boat and he fell over into the mud and the sand. And his men went, "Oh, it's an omen. We're going to lose." William, quick as a flash, got up with 2 handfuls of soil. And he said, "You see, men, I already have England in my hands." And they all went, "Hurrah!" and came ashore. Yeah, right. All those boats lined up here. And do you know why he chose Pevensey Bay? Do you? Why? It had lots of guest houses. No, it didn't. It didn't have anything. There were no guests. Because of the pebbly beach. Perfect for landing your ships on, getting your army off. Thanks. And once he got the army off, some of those ships went back to Normandy. Others were smashed up. Take away your army's means of escape, and what have they got to do? They've got to win the battle. You see, he's like me, a leader of men. Brilliant. Got to get the job done. Sell yourself for the job. Put your helmet on. Do everything. We are going to do the William the Conqueror story. I've been waiting years to do this. The whole programme on it. What? Plus 1 or 2 other bits. Well, all right, yes, there'll be a few other bits. But mostly the main man. Like me. A mighty, powerful man, all conquering. He knew what he was about. He knew where he was... Cut now. He knew where he was going. Turn it off. I've been thinking about our landing, you know. It was brilliant, me getting off the boat and all that, but it wasn't quite authentic because this is Pevensey Castle, and it used to be on a peninsula, right on the peninsula, surrounded by water, the sea. And as you can see now, it's surrounded by land. So the sea has moved quite a lot. So he didn't exactly land where I said he landed, but it looked just like that when he did. Well, my costume, it's in the car. Hey, there's a part for you in this, you know. Yeah, you can play Godwinson. How's about that? Well, all you need is a pointy stick. You'll keep an eye out for one, will you? All right, then. Yes. This is an old Roman fort. 290, it was built quite late for the Romans. The Roman wall is around the outside, and within it is this Norman bailey, the Norman castle, within the Roman walls. Not much is known about this place between the Romans and the Normans, except there was some sort of big trading company, and the Saxons came along and killed all the Britons. It's about all that's known. So, why did William come to Pevensey? Well, I'm going to tell you a story. You see, England was split. Half of the noblemen were Normans, and half of the noblemen were Anglo-Saxons. Edward the Confessor was on the throne. He didn't have an heir to the throne. So lots of people saw an opportunity. William, Duke of Normandy, saw an opportunity because he was vaguely related to Edward the Confessor. The Anglo-Saxons saw an opportunity because Edward was married to Edith, who was the sister of Harold Godwinson. Ah, right. So Harold thought he might become the king, and William thought he might become the king. Harold was actually sent to Normandy by Edward to go and see William. He was actually arrested in Flanders, and then William came and released him. But anyway, they fought side by side at Mont Saint-Michel, where Harold was terribly brave, and William presented him with a shield and a sword. You see, they respected one another. Yes, they did. In fact, whilst he was there, William made him swear an oath of allegiance to William over some holy relics. You see, in those days, they didn't have solicitors or anything like that. You just swore an oath. And Harold, probably because he was surrounded by William's men with dirty great big swords, said, "Yes, of course I support your claim to the throne, William," and swore his oath of allegiance to him. Unfortunately, when he returned to England, Edward the Confessor died, and the Anglo-Saxon nobleman said, "Harold, you're the king." So Harold, no, he didn't give it back, he took it. But he might have known that William would be a bit cross. In fact, he definitely knew, because he started to watch for William coming across the water. Nothing was surer. You see, William was a man of honour, and Harold had broken his oath. Yep, and that's why the invasion happened. Just so. Why do you keep saying just so? You've done it about 3 times whilst I was telling us. Look, I've got my costume. You brought me to Burwash. What's that got to do with the price of fish? I mean, just so. Yeah, you're saying that before. Just so a big house. Dead posh. It's where Kipling lived. What, Rudyard Kipling? I knew that. Of course I did. Yeah, I know lots about it. But we're doing William, so Rudyard Kipling. All right. He was born in Bombay in India. He was named Rudyard after Rudyard Lake, near Leek. I used to go sailing there when I was a kid. I knew that as well. It's where his parents became engaged, and that's why they named him that. He had a bad time at school here, then he went back to India, where he was writing for the Civil Military Gazette of Lahore in India. He said he was experimenting with the weight, colour, perfume, and attributes of words in relation to other words. I know. He came back to England, 1889, and he wrote Gunga Din, Jungle Book 2. Well, it was the second Jungle Book. I didn't know there was one, did you? I mean, of course I did. I knew that. That's right, yes. And then finally, in 1902, he settled here at Bateman's in Sussex. And he wrote the Just So stories. Oh, I get it now. And Puck of Pook's Hill and all that. Yeah. He didn't write 1066, though, did he? I did. So I'm going to do more on William. Welcome to Battle. That's the name of the town, and this is where the battle actually happened. It didn't happen in Hastings at all. That's 7 miles away. So the story so far, Harold's men have had to go up to Stamford Bridge, near York, and fight the King of Norway, King Hardrada, and his brother, Tostig, in a fierce battle. They win that battle and celebrate it in York. Whilst they're having a bit of vino, someone taps Harold on the shoulder and says, "William's arrived at Pevensey." Oh, flippin' heck. So they march them all the way down the country again. They get to London and... Yes, all right, they look stupid. They get to London, and Harold is advised by everybody to wait in London, get supplies together, because there are other armies coming to join his army, swell the numbers to take on William. And Harold says, "No, I'm going tomorrow morning." And he did. He set off for Hastings. He walked through the forest between London and Hastings and came out here on this little hill. Did he find a parking spot? No, he didn't, because he didn't need one. There was nothing here. It was just a forest. And there was a clearing. Swan Lake Hill. Swan Lake Hill. Swan Lake Hill. He said, "That ridge is perfect. I'll put my army along that ridge." And they settled down for the night before the battle. And what do the Anglo-Saxons, the Englishmen, what do they do the night before the battle? They drink and sing. Yeah, they do. That's exactly what they did. They were singing and drinking all night long. Perfect preparation for a battle, but very traditional. William's men would have been a little more cautious. After all, they're in a foreign country. They're a bit frightened. They don't know what to expect, but they've got God on their side. So they were probably doing a bit of praying and hoping it was all going to come out for the good. They set off the next morning, marching towards Harold's men. The battle is about to begin. And it's the top. Right, okay. That is the cross of the Knights of St. John, the Crusaders. You're getting your medieval all mixed up. Take that. Come on, I'll show you where the battle happened. What's going on? We were that close to battle. I was going to do 1066. You brought me to Winchelsea. What are we doing here? You've got 3 quick questions. They better be quick. Go on then. The first, why is Winchelsea a sink port when it's nowhere near the sea? Okay then. The sea was out there. Winchelsea used to be down there. The sea suddenly came in over the years, washed it away. So Edward I built a medieval town up here, 1290. Grid pattern, fantastic, dead important port, 6,000 people living here. Important ports on this part of the coast were given tax dispensations, all sorts of treats as long as they supplied navy to the king. They were called the sink ports. Sink, not sank. Sank means 5 and there were more than 5 of them. Next question. What's a downs? Alright, we're in the South Downs, admittedly. Downs, undulating or steep land that's got very little soil on top, no good for cultivation. Next question. When do you get to do your part? Well, actually, fairly soon, if we get back to the battle site. Come on. Finally, I get to do the Battle of Hastings properly. Well, nearly properly. Anyway, 1066, this is the field where it happened, the battle site. I want you to imagine the situation, right? William's men lined up down there. There's a bit of water. They were on the other side. Archers at the front. Infantry in the middle with their swords and their axes. And behind them, cavalry. William had cavalry. Harold didn't. Key factor. Up here, on top of this ridge, the ridge running along there, forget the buildings behind it, William built those later, a ridge with Harold's men all the way along it, and they formed a massive shield wall. Massive shields, not stupid little shields. Perhaps 10 men deep, right? Big shields going up like this, stopping the arrows raining down on top of them. Right. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Because the whole of this battle lasted a day. It's like, a day at work. 9 in the morning till about tea time. That's what happened. 9 in the morning, the battle starts. It has to be said that at the beginning of the battle, it's going Harold's way. William's having a bit of a bad time. In fact, the Bretons, who were over on this side, on the left-hand side, fighting for William, got a bit frightened, and they ran off. But the Englishmen, or the Anglo-Saxons, chased after the Bretons, and William's men were able to cut them off and hack them down, including Harold's brother. Now, William, later in the day, thought, that wasn't such a bad idea. We could perhaps do that again. So he got some English-speaking, or Anglo-Saxon men, the Grosvenors, there, the Duke of Westminster today is a descendant of theirs, to run up and down here saying, the Duke is down, the Duke is down. So that Harold's men went, yes! And they did it twice more, breaking their rank and being cut off by William's men. Clever little move. It worked. Harold's numbers were shrinking, and he was in big trouble. You get to do your part now. Well, actually, you do, yeah. You're made for it, especially with your name. Born to the role, then. Come on. So, the story of the battle as it continues. William's now beginning to do quite well, but his archers have run out of arrows. It's all right, it's something I need for your part. Okay? He comes up with a bit of a daring wheeze. He sends his archers forwards towards the battle to actually pick up their arrows by hand, the ones that they'd fired before. They go forward and do that. Now they can attack the line from the side as well as above. Harold's in big trouble. His personal bodyguards, the house skulls with these double-handed axes, they can't keep off the French swordsmen or the Norman cavalry. This is where your part starts. You're going to be Harold Godwinson. It's all right, it's an important part. He is really important. Lie down on the ground. Lie down on the ground. Harold Godwinson was King Harold, King of England for a very short while. So you're playing the king. You need this. I made this. It's about as good as your costume. And you need to stick it just above your eye. Go on. Not that eye. The other eye. That's it. Hold it there. Harold got hit by a stray arrow just above his eye. Probably blinded him. Certainly caused him a lot of discomfort. And then he was hacked by French swordsmen. You're dead now, but you get carried a little bit higher before you finally breathe your last breath. That's it, it's all over. I'm done. That's it. Very rude. Are you doing that to me? Oh, I see, the archery sign. Ah, yes, of course. Yeah, well, archery goes back 5,000 years. The Romans were brilliant at it. They were beaten by people who were even better at it, the Goths. And then you had the longbow, English longbow. We were great. But if you ever got caught by the French, they'd cut those 2 fingers off so you couldn't do the longbow anymore. So if you wanted to insult a Frenchman, you'd do the opposite of that to him. That's why we do it now. You're going to tell me about another William involved in archery. What's the apple got to do? Put it on the head. Yeah, now what do I do? Walk 10 yards that way. Okay. Now what? Very funny. William Tell. About as appropriate to this story as that stupid costume you had me wearing. No more costumes, no more silly props. Put it away. Now look, I'm going to continue the story. So Harold's been hacked about a bit, and he's brought up here where he dies. In fact, his girlfriend, Edith Swannet, takes him off to Waltham Abbey, where he's laid to rest, and he's there to this very day. Although there are some people who believe he went to Chester. Rubbish, in my opinion. Anyway, William has put into his diary, not had a bad day, become King of England. Now, normally you'd think he'd go straight to London and take his crown, but he's a bit worried. He thinks that there might be other armies around, and people who are not best pleased at him killing the English king. So he goes south, along the River Thames, to between Oxford and Reading. Wallingford is where he actually crosses the River Thames. On the way, he's battering villages, killing people, being really, really nasty. And that sends a message ahead, so that by the time he comes along the north of the River Thames to London, the elders meet him at the city gates and they say, "There's the keys, come on in, it's all right, fabulous, lovely, have it, it's all yours." And he goes to Westminster Abbey, the newly finished Westminster Abbey, built by Edward the Confessor, and on Christmas Day, 1066, he is the first king to be crowned in Westminster Abbey. Thank you very much. Everybody's shaking as they put the crown on his head, including him. He was frightened, but he was made king. The people of London come out to say, "Well done, Billy," because they think they better get on his side. And his men don't understand what they're saying, so they kill them and burn the houses. Back here, and all over England and all over France, he starts to build abbeys and cathedrals, because he had the Pope on his side for the battle, and he had to repay the Pope. He built one abbey here, at Battle. And he built it exactly where Harold died. You see, there was respect between the two. They knew one another, they respected one another. Built the abbey here. Right, that's about it, really. We are now sort of all descendants of Normans. It was ship to shore, Now it has to be shore to ship. You've got it arranged. Good. You have done well here. The Hastings lifeboat. Brilliant. And another William. Sir William Hillary, the man that set up the RNLI. You see, he lived in Douglas, the Isle of Man, and he was sick of seeing wrecks all over the place. He'd personally saved about 500 lives, and he thought, we need a concerted effort, a united effort around the British Isles for saving lives. So he set up the RNLI, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution. They got some money off Lloyd's, the insurers, and one or two rich friends, and they bought about 30 boats. By 1890, they had changed from oars and sails to steamboats. And nowadays, they've got 222 lifeboat stations with beautiful machines like this that get called out on average about 7,000 times a year, and they save about 4,000 lives. Stunning, eh? This is a beauty. How do you switch her on? Where are we going? What we do? Have you got the key? Eh? What's the matter? The one I'm going on is a bit smaller. When you say a bit smaller, what is it? Just like it's tiny. That doesn't matter. They all save lives, and they're all just as important as the next one. Okay then. Come on, join in. You can help. See, the big lifeboat, that goes out about, what, 20 times a year here? This one about 40. So it's dead important. You are coming, aren't you? What do you mean, no? What do you mean, no?
Discovery Next digs for the truth behind the confessions of the JCB digger. The Dice Man is enjoying some adventures on Home and Leisure Digital in the USA. Will Russell get a bite of the Big Apple?